Dear all, I hope you and your family are fine and taking as much precautions as possible. We are witnessing an acute shortage of food and other essential items due to the recent turn of events with coronavirus. I would like to discuss the potential reasons and possible solutions to address the shortage based on my research expertise and first-hand experience as a consumer. We are witnessing a panic buying behavior by the consumers. They are trying to secure as much as possible, visiting multiple stores to secure the supply. This has resulted in empty shelves in the retail stores. The hoarding caused a short term food shortage and shortage of other essential items. There is a mystery that why intelligent and well educated people are panic buying stuff and what are they actually buying. Our understanding is that people deal with systems at the level of events. So, whenever there is something, people react to it. The events may be something like a promotion, sudden price fall, discount, or sales. They quickly act to the events without thinking much about the consequences. Let's see what are the events that created this panic. I am naming them as panic waves because there were more than one. The first wave was around Wednesday, March 4th, when 34 cases were reported on the same day, highest till then. There were government advisories, a lot of media reports, so many things in the social media, and global reports about the virus. This is where people started buying essential things that were discussed by the government, things like paracetamol, hand sanitizers to keep themselves safe. They were also buying toilet rolls and pasta, which quickly went out of stock. In the second wave was around 10th of March when there were reportedly 6 deaths and the number of cases have gone to 373. The government has announced a 12 billion emergency support fund at that time. The global situation has become alarming and social media was full of news. People started planning for short to medium term buying. Things like rice, flour, milk, and bread were quickly getting sold out. The third wave was around 14 March when a lot of countries announced that they are canceling inbound and outbound flights. There was announcement about major sporting events like marathons being cancelled, and the companies started to encourage employees to work from home based on the government advisories. At this time, people started to plan for long term or uncertain term buying things. So they started to buy anything and everything that was available. Now, this behavior created a bigger problem in the entire supply chain. So, as we look at that, a little bit change in their buying behavior or a sudden change in the buying behavior by the consumer created a little bit higher demand by the retailers, which combined together created a little bit more higher demand by the wholesalers, which created a much higher demand at the distributor, which created even higher demand at the factory, which created a very large demand by the suppliers. So as we can see from the simple supply chain example, that a sudden increase in the demand from the consumer has resulted in a huge demand of production from the factories and the suppliers. So they are under tremendous pressure because of this sudden increase in the demand. Now, looking at the root cause, we are trying to understand that why this sudden panic or sudden behavior. One of the big thing is that lack of supply visibility. The consumers don't know what is coming and what is there. They just see the empty shelves when they're going for buying and they make their purchase decision assuming that there is not enough supply. In the current time, with everybody being connected through social media, there's a lot of peer influence as well. People are getting informations in terms of pictures and messages from their friends and peers about what they are buying and how much they are storing. And this is again encouraging everybody to go and hoard and panic buy things. When we look at the supply chain, there's also a delivery delay from the time it is something starts from the supplier and the time it reaches to the consumers. Because there are lot many players in the supply chain and the delivery don't happens from the factory to the consumers. It rather happens from the factory to the distributor, then to the wholesaler, and then to the retailer. Another important factor is the independent forecasting. Each stakeholder in the supply chain is doing their own independent forecast based on their understanding about how long this situation will remain. So if the consumer thinks that this lockdown or this situation, the shortage will remain for 1 month, they are storing things for a month. If somebody thinks it is for 2 months, they are storing things for 2 months. Similarly goes for the retailers. Retailers don't see the overall demand. They are just looking at their own sales behavior, and based on that they are forecasting the demand. And same goes with the distributors and the factories. Now, because of this independent forecasting, the real demand is lost because everybody is adding their own speculation into the real demand. And another root cause is the domino effect, which is, or you can say the ripple effect, which is created by this panic buying in the short term. So if people are not getting an item, they are quickly looking for the substitute. For example, if they are not getting fresh milk, they are looking for condensed milk or milk powder, which is creating another problem for a lot of substitute supply chains. We also see that there is a lot of inconsistency in terms of the incentive for various parties. So, for example, consumers may have very less incentive to stop this panic buying. On the other hand side, the retailers may have a different incentive, which will be to sell as much product as possible. And we have seen reports where some of the retailers are even increasing the price of these items. The immediate problem includes supply shortage created due to panic buying behavior and the delays in the supply chain. There's also lack of short-term forecasting due to random purchase behaviors. The sales data is not a good reflection of the true demand. There's also high price due to limited availability. This may be at the retailer or maybe at the wholesaler or maybe at the distributor or at the factory. There is a huge queuing at the retail stores because people want to get their stuff as soon as possible. But this is defeating the entire purpose of social isolation. The people who are isolating themselves are relying on home delivery, and therefore there's a huge pressure on the home delivery channels. And because a lot of people are self isolating, this has created a huge constraint or a huge shortage of workforce at the front end. The immediate solutions to these problems can be information, innovation, and education. When I talk about information, the retailers can increase the supply visibility to the consumers. They can assure the consumers that there is enough supply. They can hold joint press conferences, including some government officials and the retail stores, assuring and telling the consumers that they need not to worry, they need not to panic, there is enough supply. The retailers can also start taking advance orders, for example, 4 weeks in advance. This will cut down or curtail the uncertainty of the panic. People won't be storing things forever. They know that within 4 weeks or 6 weeks' time, their new supply will arrive, so they will store as much as for 4 weeks. Retailers can also look into new ways to reduce the distribution delay. This can be looking into new distribution channels by identifying ways to deliver directly to the customers. They can also look in utilizing available capacity that has become available from other industries. For example, staff truck warehouses that are not in use by other industries. Some of the examples, which may be quite radical or quite Unusual, maybe using buildings like school and colleges for storing items as warehouse, using airlines or aeroplanes to expedite the supply of key product. Retailers can educate the customers to manage the demand. They can look at the historic purchase data to inform the customers of their weekly or monthly purchase, and this will give some sense to the customers about how much items they really need. Retailers can also do some database calculations to tell the customers about how much actually they will need. So, for example, if you are a family of four and you're buying sugar for a month, how much sugar you will actually need. Or you are a family of four and you're buying toilet rolls, how many toilet rolls you will actually need. I've seen that even though some products are getting sold faster, there are some products which are still slow moving, like gram flour. So retailers can post videos and text recipes to encourage consumers to use these products in this urgent time. We are moving into more and more self-isolation, and in the next phase of this crisis, there are two short-term issues that are popping up. One of the major issues is limited capacity. Even though there is a huge demand which need to be addressed, there is not enough capacity which can be developed in a short time. Another major issue that we are seeing is employee shortage, because a lot of people are going into self-isolation, and also there are restrictions on working conditions. For example, people have to maintain a 6 feet distance while they are doing their job. These things are possible in some cases, but not in a lot of other cases. Even though capacity can't be increased in short term, it can be optimized to enhance the overall effectiveness of the operations. This can be done by optimization of the processes. This can also be done by process reengineering to reduce the non-value added activity. Some of the functions that need optimization or process reengineering in the current situation include home delivery or employee scheduling. We have some capabilities that can be of help. We can look at the routing, fleet optimization, or scheduling of the drivers issues of an organization. We can have a quick look at the current operations of the organization, for example, routing. We can develop mathematical modeling to optimize the routing operations. And based on our experience, we can reduce the travel time from 20 to 40%. Similarly, we can look into the scheduling of employees and other resources of the organization, and we can develop mathematical modeling to reduce the non-value adding activities like waiting, idling, and setup time in the process. We also have expertise in artificial intelligent algorithms and machine learning, which we can use for activities like document processing. In the current supply chain, even though our focus is mostly on moving the products, but the invoices and other documents have to be moved as quickly as the product so that the payments can be made on time and so that the movement of the product is not interrupted. Now, because of the employee shortage, processing of these documents will become one of the major issues. So we can apply artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms to quickly process the documents. While we are still focused on the short term, we must not forget what is coming in our way in the medium and long term. Remember our action when we quickly reacted to the event without realizing what is the actual consequences. Consumers who are buying a lot of items like toilet rolls, pasta, rice, sugar, and stocking them for 2 to 3 months, they may not be buying those items in a very near future. Also, once the people are out of this isolation and things become normal, the demand will again shift to ready-made product and eating out in the restaurants and takeaways, which means that there will be a demand shortage in the medium to long term. There will At the same time, there will be a lot of oversupply of items which the retailers and the wholesalers are ordering now. These items will be arriving to the retail and the wholesales in 3 to 4 months. So, in the medium term, we will be faced with a scenario where there's not a lot of demand, but the aisles are packed with these items like toilet rolls and pastas. And this is something that we need to be very much careful about. Another problem that will emerge will be a wastage of a lot of items which are being stored either by the consumers or at the retailers or at the wholesalers. Therefore, the organization need to understand and prepare for some of the medium to long term solutions. They need to form strategic partnerships with their suppliers and with their other parties in their supply chain. The organization need to share the risk and reward so that there is an incentive for all the parties involved and they are not trying to optimize their own value rather than the entire supply chain. And to avoid the oversupply in the long term, in the medium to long term, the organization have to work on collaborative planning and forecasting now. We have some capabilities where we can look at the end-to-end optimization of the supply chain to address these medium to long-term issues.